There we go. Hi, my name is Timothy Gager, and welcome to Virtual Fridays Diary Literary Series. And tonight, my guest is Rachel Yoder, and Rachel's got a brand new novel, Nightbitch, which is super hot right now. It's really making some dents in the literary world, and I'll get to discuss that with Rachel a little later on. But let me tell you a little bit something about Rachel. Here's Rachel's website. Most of the stuff you can find out about Rachel's right on her website. There's her fabulous book. And I'm looking for a bio, which I do not have on here.
Oh, it should be under About, if you go to About.
There we go. My screen contrast is lousy. There it is. So Rachel is the author of Nightbitch on Doubleday, her debut novel. It's been released, and it's been released to quite a lot of fanfare and success. And it's been optioned for a film with Amy Adams set to star. She's a graduate of the Iowa Nonfiction Writing Program and holds an MFA in fiction from the University of Arizona. Her writing has been awarded with the Editor's Prize in Fiction. And just so I'm not reading along, just go to racheljyoder.com and find out more about her. And with that, I'd like to turn the evening over to her. So I'm looking forward to hearing you, Rachel Yoder.
Thanks, Timothy. I'm just going to read a little bit from the very beginning of the book because I think that's easiest. Then I don't have to really set it up. I mean, if you've heard anything about Nightbitch, you probably know the premise, which is a former artist turned reluctant stay-at-home mom becomes convinced she's turning into a dog. And so I will just read a few minutes from the beginning and then we can take it from there. And I will pull it up here. All right, here we go with Nightbitch. When she had referred to herself as Nightbitch, she meant it as a good-natured, self-deprecating joke, because that's the sort of lady she was, a good sport, able to poke fun at herself. Definitely not uptight, not wound really tight, not so freakishly tight that she couldn't see the humor in a lighthearted, not meant as an insult situation. But in the days following this new naming, she found the patch of coarse black hair sprouting from the base of her neck and was like, what the fuck? I think I'm turning into a dog, she said to her husband when he arrived home after a week away for work. He laughed and she didn't. She had hoped he wouldn't laugh. She had hoped that week as she lay in bed, wondering if she was turning into a dog, that when she said those words to her husband, he would tip his head to one side and ask for clarification. She had hoped he would take her concerns seriously, but as soon as she said the words, she saw this was impossible. Seriously, she insisted, I have this weird hair on my neck. She lifted her normal hair to show him the black patch. He rubbed it with his fingers and said, yeah, you're definitely a dog. To her credit, she did appear more hirsute than usual. Her unruly hair moved about her head and shoulders like a cloud of wasps. Her brows caterpillared across her forehead with unplucked growth. She had even witnessed 2 black hairs curling from her chin, and in the right light, in any light at all, to be honest, you could see the 5 o'clock shadow of her mustache as it grew back in after her laser treatments. Had she always had so much hair on her arms, descending the edge of her jaw from her hairline? And was it normal to have patches of hair on the tops of your feet? And look at my teeth, she said, baring her teeth and pointing to her canines. She was convinced they had grown and the tips had narrowed to ferocious points that could cut a finger with a mere prick. Why, she had nearly cut hers during her nightly examination in the bathroom. Every night when her husband was gone and their son was happily playing with trains in his pajamas, she stood at the mirror and pulled her lips back from her teeth, turned her head from side to side, then tilted her head back and looked at her teeth from that bottom-up angle, searched the internet on her phone for pictures of canines to which she might compare her own, tapped her teeth with her fingernails, told herself she was being silly, then searched humans with dog teeth on her phone, searched, do humans and dogs share a common ancestor, searched human-animal hybrid, and recessive animal genes in humans, and research human-animal genes legacy, searched werewolves, searched real werewolves in history, searched somewhat inexplicably witches, searched somewhat relatedly, Hysteria, 19th Century. And then, since she wanted to, searched Rest Cures and the Yellow Wallpaper, and she reread the Yellow Wallpaper, which she had once read in college, then stared blankly for a while at nothing in particular while sitting on the toilet, then stopped searching altogether. Touch it, she insisted, pointing to her tooth. Her husband reached out and prodded the tip of her canine with his pointer finger. Ow, he said, pulling his hand back and cradling it close to his body. Just kidding, he said, as he held up an unscathed finger and waggled it at her face. Your tooth looks the same to me. You always think something's wrong with you, he said pleasantly. Her husband was an engineer. He specialized in quality control. What precisely this meant, the mother was not entirely sure. What she did know was that he had little time for feelings, a condescending patience for intuition, and scoffed openly at talk unsupported by peer-reviewed scientific studies or statistics. Still, he was a good man, a caring man, an affable man, whom she appreciated very much despite everything. She was, after all, prone to indecision, doubling back on things she had once felt but had since come to feel differently about. She was prone to anxiety, to worry, to a sensation in her chest that her heart might explode. She ran hot, she buzzed. She either needed to keep busy or else she needed to lie down and sleep. Her husband, on the other hand, needed nothing whatsoever. No wonder then that they deferred to his judgment, his good, level-headed judgment, his engineer's evenness. Of course, there was nothing wrong with her. This she told herself as they lay in bed, their child between them, asleep and wedging his toes beneath her leg. I think I should sleep in the guest room, she whispered to her husband. Why? He whispered back. I get so angry now at night, she said. He didn't respond. I think I just need a good night's sleep, she added. Okay, he said. She rolled from bed without a sound and felt her way down the stairs and tucked into the clean sheets of the guest bed. She rubbed the patch of coarse hair on the back of her neck to soothe herself, then ran her tongue over the sharp edges of her teeth. In this way, she fell into a thick and unbothered sleep. And that's the beginning of Nightbitch.
Thank you so much, Rachel. What a great section. All right, so let's chat for a bit. Now, you and I have a little bit of a background. I remember I published one of your pieces either for Heat City or Wilderness House Review. This is a while ago. And also we wrote together on Fiction Not.
Oh yeah, that's a blast to the past.
So how does, in 100 words or fewer, how does someone on Fiction Not writing some flash fiction pieces that their friends are looking at and reviewing and talking about go to that to being a best-selling author and having a movie with Amy Adams?
Well, you know, write for about 15 years in between those two things. And I think, yeah, I mean, Fictionaut was a great, for those of you who know, Fictionaut was this, I don't know if it's still happening or.
It is, but it's kind of, it's very quiet.
Very quiet now. It's this online community where you could post stories and then people can comment on your stories and kind of talk about them. And I did this right after my MFA in fiction. I was teaching, living in a small town in Arizona, very lonely, did not have a writing community, and found it online at Fictionaut and found a lot of like indie lit friends there. And that was really important in that it kept me writing, like it kept me connected to writers, and it kept me writing, kept me like engaged in thinking about reading, writing, talking about stories. So yeah, I mean, in between that and this book, I got another MFA. I moved to Iowa. I really developed my, artistic sensibility and my artistic aesthetic, and found out what I was interested in doing as an artist and a writer. And I think that was, the big difference. Like I sort of had like a vision for this book, and I had something I was interested in experimenting with.
Now, this being your first novel, has it already achieved success beyond your wildest dreams? Or it's pretty amazing though, a first novel doing as well as yours has done.
It is. I mean, yes. I never thought it would be optioned and would become a movie. I mean, that wasn't even really something within the realm of consideration for me. And then it happened really quickly after I sold the book. So yeah, that was wild. And I think there's just a lot of unknowns, you know, like if and when the movie comes out, what will happen to the book then? And is there more to come? I don't know. So yeah, it's been wild.
Now, if any of the book is based on characteristics within yourself, within the character in the book, how does it feel to have like someone like Amy Adams playing those parts of you and having a chance to see it?
I mean, I'll let you know when I see it. The book already feels, even though it was a very personal book, it came from a very personal place. It already feels like it's something very removed from me. You know, now it's out in the world. Other people are having opinions about it and having an experience of it that I think it's good that I've already separated myself from it. And I think the movie is just another step, right? Like someone else is going to interpret the book. And they have a whole vision and a whole project that they're doing. So it's just like this process of letting go and just sort of trying to enjoy the ride. And I don't think I'll like over identify with Amy Adams because I feel like she's going to be doing something that's like so far removed from me. It'll just be really fun to watch.
Now, as your name is starting to get known, have you had any like incidents where like people have run into you and be like, "Hey, aren't you?"
Well, I live in a small literary, I mean, I live in Iowa City, which has a, you know, literary tradition. People read, it's very small. And I have had a few, like a guy backed into me the other day and hit my car. And I got out and we exchanged information. And he's like, "Oh, I just read a review of your book." And I was like, okay. So that's, I mean, where else is that going to happen but Iowa City? Yeah, so I have some small town fame, which has been fun.
Now, the character in Nightbitch, believing that she's becoming a dog, all right, was that more of, were you using that more of as a metaphor, or were you going for straight magical realism, or what was the?
Yeah, I think I wanted to leave that up to the reader to decide. I wanted to really leave it ambiguous, you know, like, does she really turn into a dog, or is this sort of just all in her head? I mean, obviously there's, you know, a lot of like symbolism. There's a big metaphor there at the center of it all, whether or not she does or doesn't. But yeah, I mean, I think the transformation more than anything is telegraphing, and it's trying to telegraph an experience. It's trying to evoke a feeling and like embody it. And the best way I knew how to do that was through this sort of like feral, animalistic transformation.
Now, was there anything? I mean, that's quite a jump in a novel. You know, a young mother becoming a dog. Now, was there some part of it you had to reel in? Like, did this actually go further in your mind at any point that you reeled some of it back?
Oh, I wish I could say it did. That would have been really fun. No, like it never really threatened to tip over into like, you know, hard fantasy or anything, because I mean, I don't read fantasy, I don't read sci-fi, but I do read slipstream. Like I love stuff that's literary, but also bringing in like myth or sci-fi or fantasy elements. And so that was what I felt most comfortable writing in. So I kind of, yeah, I was like staying within the realms because I don't know the conventions of fantasy. And yeah, I would have had to do some more reading if I wanted to go deeper that way, I think.
All right, we've got a question on the board from TL Sherwood, who says, how long did it take you to write the book? And did the idea occur to you while you were getting your second MFA?
Let's see. It took me probably 3 years to write the book. And that was writing in fits and starts. So usually, before I had a kid, I would write every day, and I devoted a lot of my time to writing. After I had a child, I could not do that. And so Jamie Attenberg, who's an author, started this thing on Twitter called 1,000 Words of Summer, where she would lead people through like 2 weeks of writing, 1,000 words every day. And that's what got me back into writing, because I was like, oh, I can do that. Like, I can fit this into my life for a certain amount of time that feels manageable. So I would write, I would do 1,000 Words of Summer for a couple weeks and have 20,000 new words. And then I wouldn't write for 3 months. And then I would do it again and have 20,000 new words. So it came in these big chunks, just because like, that's how my life is now. And then there was a second part of the question. Hold on. This idea definitely did not occur when I was getting my second MFA. My family's walking through as they do on the Zooms. No, it did not occur. When I started writing this book, I had not written for 2 years. I mean, I had been a stay-at-home parent and was just on that and I had like no creative impulse. I had no ideas. I had nothing to write. It was very scary because I had been writing for 15 years and all of a sudden it's just gone. And this project really was a joke, like between me and my husband. He called me a Nightbitch once. And it was just the perfect sort of like, it's funny, it's weird, it's like it's really out there. And I thought, why not? Like, what a great project to get back into writing, to just kind of be like, fuck it, I'm just going to write a werewolf mom book. And I'm, after having these 2 MFAs that were so serious and like, writing this like the lyric essay and these beautiful, like finely crafted pieces, to be like, no, I'm going to write like a big, messy werewolf mom book. That felt like a great project to take up, to like dive back in to writing.
You said you didn't write for 2 years, and coincidentally, the character in your book notices all this when her toddler becomes 2 years old. Is that related?
Yeah, I mean, I think my guy was probably 3 when I started writing again. But yeah, I mean, it was very similar. She's a frustrated artist. She hasn't been attending to her creative life for a long time. She's lost herself. And that's very much where I was. I had completely lost myself. And this book was me finding my way back to myself in a lot of ways, like artistically, personally, emotionally.
You just mentioned that there's the book is magical, it's serious, it's heartbreaking, and there's humor in it. How did you decide which of those to weight while you were writing this?
I think what came out at first was so angry and sarcastic that I would have burned out writing that. And I think a reader can only handle that for so long too. And so the humor felt very necessary as not only a craft strategy, but as sort of like a survival tactic, in terms of, the character needed humor to get through what she was getting through. I needed humor to write the book, to leaven all of the sort of rage that was coming out. It couldn't just be pure rage. It would like burn up. So it had to have these kind of like absurd, humorous things going on too. And that's my style too. Like I love John Waters. I love weird, crazy stuff that's a little off-putting. I think it's really interesting. So it was sort of bringing that sensibility to the book.
I noticed when I was reading through, the book was compared to Tilly meets Kafka, but Kafka's come up in 3 or 4 of these. How do you feel about your book being compared to Franz Kafka?
I mean, thank you. I like, Sure. I love Kafka. I love his, I have not read The Metamorphosis. I mean, Kafka's also very gloomy. But I do love his short pieces. I've read those a lot, and just how magical they are, how they turn so perfectly. Yeah, I mean, I would love to be compared to Kafka any day. But I think it definitely has a different sort of tonal quality, in that maybe Kafka didn't embrace absurdity as much.
I know that. Are you familiar with the famous Billy Collins quote?
Which one?
Billy Collins said that when you're stuck writing a poem, just put a dog in it. Were you considering that advice?
That was not front of mind. I will admit. I mean, this is something I keep admitting, like, I don't even really like dogs all that much. I'm much more of a cat person, and there's a poor cat that meets a, horrible demise in the book. So, I mean, I guess, in the book, it did turn into a dog, but it kind of, when I was writing it, it just seemed more like a beast, like it was just this feral, undefined sort of thing. But then, like, the dog sort of came into it as you're thinking about how dogs have been domesticated. When dogs move into the domestic space, they turn into they're a different thing, right? But there's still that wildness about them, and that chaos about them. So then the dog became like the right animal to sort of include.
Now, what was your husband's take on the book? Was your husband like, this is really funny, or was he like, I had no idea that you felt this way?
I mean, you'll have to ask him.
Get him in here.
Hey, Seth, they want to know your take on the book. He's just laughing. Come here. Do you really want to know?
Well, I mean, the setup's there right now. Hi, Seth. So, Seth, Rachel's book.
Wait, here, put this in your ear.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
No, just do it real quick.
When you
What am I
read,
supposed to say?
so when you read Rachel's book, like, were you like, this is really funny, or was your reaction, I had no idea that you was feeling this way?
Oh, yes, it was very funny. I did very much understand the way she was feeling. And I found it difficult at times, but cathartic and interesting and ultimately really helpful. But obviously, we lived through the writing of the book together as well. So.
Oh, and I want to say something.
Yes.
Great. Well, thanks for coming in.
I wanted to add that Seth has a degree in film and biology, whatever, but he has a degree in film. And so I did adapt the book into a script this year, and he was my main reader. And so we were like working through scenes that were basically us, and like editing these scenes together, of like confrontation. And that was a really interesting, intense, helpful process, actually. And there was also like scenes I made up between the husband and wife that were really cathartic. And then also to have him like read those and to work through those.
So it's screenwriting as marriage counseling.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah.
So with the book that's doing so well, besides being made into the movie, and it's appeared on so many most anticipated lists before it even came out. Like, is your agent and PR team at Doubleday like superstars, or?
Yes. I mean, my publicist, I don't know what she has done, but it's been amazing. I think too, it's very provocative, like has a provocative title. It has a provocative cover. They did a really good
That
job.
was great.
And I think it has a really tight like tagline. You know, you can be like, it's about a, you know, former artist turned stay-at-home mom who thinks she's turning into a dog, and people like get it. They get like the premise. So it has this like nice little package that I think has worked very well, yeah, in the marketing and publicity.
But yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, I've interviewed on this I'd say show on virtual Fridays Diary Literacy. I had Corin Zalakis over a year ago, and her first book, Smashed, had all that same success. And she said it was really difficult following that. Are you nervous about that?
Yes. I've been thinking a lot about, okay, well, what is the next book I'm going to write? It's not going to be Nightbitch. Like, I'm never going to write Nightbitch again. It came from a place that I don't think I'm ever going to access again. I mean, it came like burning out of me. So, and most writing doesn't come burning, searing its way out of you. So the next book is going to, you know, have to be more measured and more, it's just going to be very different.
Have you started it yet?
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Even up here?
I mean, you know, before the book came out, I was doing some research into Amish folk medicine, which is just the right amount of witchy and weird. And I think I can maybe do something with that. So that's interesting to me. And again, that has that sort of slipstream vibe to it, you know, like something literary, but it also has to do with like, maybe again, like sort of in the horror, tipping into the horror genre. So I think, yeah, I might be turning toward my roots and trying to do something that has to do with like the Amish or Mennonite experience, which I'm sure I'll make it very weird, and it won't at all be about the Amish or Mennonites. It'll be about witches or something, but yeah.
I just got a direct message question. Are you familiar with Eugene Ionesco's Rhinoceros? It's an absurdist play. Ionesco.
No, I'm not.
It's about a guy that turns into a rhinoceros.
That sounds good.
I'm sure on stage there might be some spatial issues. Also, final question. You worked on the screenplay of this book with your husband. Is this the screenplay that they're going to use for the movie, or is it something that you have no idea about at this point?
I mean, it's something I was contracted to write. And a lot of times, you know, a director will come on and they'll want to do their own adaptation. So we'll just have to see what happens.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very strongly for your appearance. That was really, really great. And so what I want people to do is check out Rachel's site, buy the book. And there it is. Rachel, do you have a favorite indie bookstore if people would like to help indie bookstores?
I do. If you order from Prairie Lights in Iowa City, they will be happy to ship to you, and I will be happy to sign it and write a little note. Or just from your local indie. Any indie is a great place to buy a book.
Yeah, but to get a signed book, that's really great. It's an offer. Thank you very, very much. And I'm now going to shut off the live stream. So folks that watch the live stream that want to be a part of the question and answer or be able to read at the open mic, please log into the Zoom link in a couple of weeks.